Y'all balanced up?
Yeah.
I like going to buy my groceries and I still run into
I want to thank everybody for coming to our press conference for the Wake Forest game. This Saturday's game kicks off at 12:01. It'll be televised by ESPNU. We'll thank Herb Tyler for Chick-fil-A and Seneca for providing our lunch today. Just before I came over, I got word that Dawson Zimmerman has been named one of 12 semifinalists for the Werfel Award, which is an award that considers excellence on the field, in the classroom, and community service. So Dawson's now a semifinalist for the Werfel Award and the Lowe's Senior Class Award. I'll turn it over to Coach.
All right, and just as an addition to that, Dawson also lost his granddad last night. So y'all remember him, if you will. I appreciate that. And just kind of quick diagnosed with cancer, and didn't last very long. But so just keep him in your thoughts. Anyway, good to get back to work today. It's been with you guys anyway. It's been a good open date. We have gotten healthy, which is really our number one objective. A lot of guys really benefited from some time off, and just looking at them last night at practice, really had a spring in their step that I have not seen in a little while. And it's not they're giving you everything they got, but at some point you need a little bit of a break. So it's good to see them get a few days, and the coaches too. So it's good to get back out there, and I'm ready to get back going. I like watching the games, but I'd much rather be a part of it. So I'm excited to get back in Death Valley this week for the last time this year. It's been a great season in Death Valley to this point. Our fans have been awesome, and we're certainly going to need them to I hope they'll come Friday. Just come on Friday. Just call in, take a day off, and come Friday, and we'll get this thing rolling. So I'm excited to see our fans and how they're going to the atmosphere they're going to create, and it makes a huge difference for us. Obviously, this is the biggest game of the year. We got a lot at stake, but it's the only game that we can control at this point, and it's the next game. So we have a chance to play for the division title, and that's our next goal. We've been working toward this goal all season long, and now we have an opportunity to play for it on Senior Day, a chance to get a 9th win, and it's a chance to be undefeated at home as well. We haven't done that here since 1990, and Tim was telling me I think only 2 teams have ever won 7 home games. So which would be a great legacy for this group that'll be moving on here in the near future. And Wake Forest has had a really good year. To be honest with you, they've I know their record's 5-4, but they probably were capable of winning every one of those games if you really watch the game and you study the tape. North Carolina got away from them a little bit with I think they had 5 turnovers, which is very uncharacteristic for Wake Forest. But they compete. The thing I like about them, this is what I love about Coach Grobe. His team competes. They compete with all they have. They're always where they're supposed to be, and he just does as good a job, he and his staff, as anybody in the league. And this is a tough out. This is a tough out we're getting ready to play. We'll get the very best that they have, and our guys know that. They're very improved offensively, very balanced, and I think that's been the key to them this year as far as the success that they've been able to have. Veteran offensive line, the quarterback's playing very good for him. He's not making a lot of mistakes. I think he's thrown 15 touchdowns and 6 picks. Very capable backs You know, with 22, he's a strong runner, and they'll rotate those guys in there. Very talented receivers, number 2, number 3, number 18. 2 is probably as good as there is out there in this league. Makes a lot of plays for them. They try to get him the ball a lot of different ways, you know, whether it's, you know, throwing it to him on the crossers or screening it to him. They want to get the ball in his hands because he can make something happen after the catch. You know, do a great job with their formations. They really understand formationing and how to create some advantages for their team. You know, so but for us, we've got to try to make them, you know, one-dimensional. Try to not allow them to have the balance that they want to have, and that starts with trying to stop the run. And then we got to play well in space because they will spread you out and try to, you know, get their guys with as much space as possible. So we got to tackle well, and then defensively, play very, very hard. And you know, I was just watching them play Virginia Tech, and you know, they flat got after Virginia Tech first quarter and a half. I mean, those guys absolutely were relentless on defense, and you know, they do a lot of unique things. They're mostly an odd front, play a little odd stack as well. But Notre Dame, they stood up the whole game. Everybody's standing up. So a lot of movement, never in one place. You know, always slanting and angling. A lot of zone pressure. So we've got to do a great job of catching movement in this game, and that'll be a big challenge for our offensive line. And if we're going to run the ball effectively, we have to do a good job of you know, executing our schemes and catching the movement that'll be presented to us. Their secondary is as good as we've played. Very athletic, very aggressive, very well coached. And you know, every year we play Wake Forest, I say the same thing about those guys. They do a tremendous job back there on the back end. Their safety's got 5 picks, and you know, they get their hands on a lot of balls. So we'll have to be very disciplined with how we execute outside. But for us, we got to take care of the ball. That's what it starts with. Obviously, in our last outing, we did a poor job of that. So we got to get back to you know, priority number 1, and that's taking care of the football and just doing what we do. Tempo is something that when we've played well, we've been able to really get the tempo going, and obviously that'll be a goal of ours as well. But you know, really, it's just about us finishing. We've had a good year, but if we're going to have a great year, we have to finish, and that's really all we're focused on, is just trying to, you know, play the best 4 quarters that we've played all year this Saturday in Death Valley. Any questions?
Coach, did it make for a difficult bye week coming off your first loss?
No. I mean, you know, you never want to lose, you know, but you know, we needed the break, and you know, our guys, they've had good focus all year, and certainly we're very disappointed, but I thought they handled it well. Came back to work on Monday of last week, and listening to them talk, said the right things, you know, went right back to work, and you know, their eyes are forward. You know, all right, listen, that's over. Let's learn from it, and let's don't let it happen again. Let's go. Let's make sure we do the things that we've done all year to give us success. And that's really that's what you're supposed to do. That's how you learn from it. You can't sit there and dwell in it. Us coaches probably let it linger a little bit longer than we probably should. I guess that just you know, you're getting older and you can't play, and you want to play but you can't play, and you know, but players they usually bounce back pretty quick.
You think it also helps that there's something they're playing for this Saturday that's pretty special to them?
Oh, absolutely, no question. I mean, this is what it's all about. I mean, heck, you got a chance to you know, win the 2nd division title in 3 years, and which would be a great accomplishment for these guys. And your seniors have a chance to be undefeated at home. 21 years since the senior group can say that. You know, they got a chance to separate themselves a little bit from some of the other teams that have been at Clemson in the last, you know, 20-plus years. So, absolutely. And it's senior day. I mean, this is the last time these guys are going to play at Death Valley. and that's always a special time. And for all of us who've played, we all remember our last game, whether it was in high school or in college. I promise you, you remember that last game. You know, I can remember it just like it was yesterday. Ironically, my last home game was against South Carolina in Tuscaloosa. You know, last home game in high school was playing Thompson High School in Pelham, and you just remember that because it's a chapter that's closing for you. And there's always, with young people, you always have a little anxiety about the future and what's coming next, and so you know, but they'll enjoy the opportunity that they have, and you know, when the game kicks off, you know, I know they'll be focused on just playing the best that they possibly can.
Andre practiced last night, or was he still?
No, he practiced. No, he took every snap. Looks good.
Coach, what are you working on with your defense? Obviously, it's been inconsistent this season. At times, they looked brilliant. Case in point, Virginia Tech, and then Maryland, Georgia Tech, you saw some lapses emerging.
Yeah, well, just trying to get everybody to you know, do their job, and it's a shared responsibility with everybody, coaches, players, and everybody understanding, you know, how critical it is to have 11 guys do their job. You know, you can have a guy, you coach a guy, hey, you know, you got to spill it. Well, that guy does his job, and then there's nobody there to spill it to, you know, because this guy didn't. And we've just had some inconsistency in our execution that's cost us. And you got to give the other team some credit too. We've played some good players that have beat us in a couple of cases, and but you know, we're just striving to get better. That's what we got to keep doing. We certainly know we're capable of playing better than we played against Georgia Tech, and you know, and the big thing for us too, you know, and then up there at Maryland, we you know, turned the ball over. We played pretty good against North Carolina. I know second half that was kind of a crazy deal, but we played pretty good against them, our first group, and so that's kind of my expectation. And you know, our guys know what the reality is, so just stay focused on that. Let's fix our problems that we know we have, and you know, just try to play better this week.
How much of those inconsistencies on defense you think are connected to depth in terms of somebody, you know, blows an assignment, that kind of thing, but there's really not?
Well, there's a big drop-off for us right now. That's the difference in our football team, and that's one of the things I've alluded to many times, you know, especially coming into the season, that the biggest difference in our team was not talent, but just experience, depth defensively. You know, you roll Daquan out and bring in Malachi. You know, you roll Jarvis out and bring in Rennie, you know, or Chavis, guys with experience. And right now we're very talented, but we just don't have, you know, quite the experience depth that we want or that we're gonna have. But it's just all a process. It just is what it is, and you know, we've just got there's a risk reward that you're always dealing with, and you wish you could just kind of wholesale substitute some guys from time to time. But if you look at our snaps, we've had some guys have played more snaps this year defensively than we've had probably in a while, and that's just been because of again, the depth, and it's and then the type of games that we've had. We've kind of fought for our lives most of the year. You know, we hadn't exactly had many coffee breaks outside of North Carolina. That one was that was a different type of game, but it is what it is, you know. But we'll keep getting better, and we got a lot of guys that have really improved. You know, you haven't really maybe seen it as much on game day, but we got a lot of guys that have made significant improvement, and they really don't even know how much improvement they've made, but they will, you know, once they kind of start this thing back, another cycle, and take that knowledge with them.
You talked about the memories of last, quote-unquote, last games. Obviously, you remember your last game as an assistant coach here against Wake Forest. Just kind of address a little bit the Wake Forest issue that seems to happen with Clemson over over these last several years. They've been just a tricky.
A good football team. You know, Coach Groves, I mean, it's not just Wake Forest and Clemson. You know, Wake Forest is beating a lot of people. They do a good job. They won this conference. They're well coached. I don't think anybody would disagree with the fact that, you know, with what Coach Grove has done at Wake Forest is just, he's done as good a job as anybody in the country. And, you know, they recruit well for their system. You know, if you look at their roster, they mostly redshirt everybody that comes in there and really allows them to develop them the way they want. And they just play their style. They play, you know, Wake Forest way, if you will, and it gives them a chance to win every single week. But it's not just Wake, Clemson. I mean, yeah, I've been a part of a couple of those games against those guys when it didn't go our way, but been more on the good side than the bad. But you know, they're capable of beating anybody on any given day. I knew it was going to be a dogfight with Notre Dame. You know, especially up there at Wake. The home field advantage is a big deal in this conference, especially in college football.
You mentioned there's some guys on defense that really improved, but maybe don't know it yet. Can you cite some examples?
Yeah, I just think, you know, when guys go through a cycle for the first time, Deshaun Williams, Grady Jarrett, Tavares Barnes, you know, you've seen probably a little bit more of Corey Crawford than those other guys. Stephon Anthony, you know, I mean, even Tony Stewart, you know, who obviously is hurt now. We got a lot of guys that are learning, you know, that are going through the game plan process, you know, for the first time, week by week, and you know, learning how to practice and how to prepare and watching others, learning from others' mistakes, and all of that stuff. It just gets absorbed, and you know, at some point it's like having money in the bank. At some point they'll be able to tap into that.
Coach, you mentioned fighting for your lives most of the year with the inconsistencies on defense. Do you think that's created more anxiety for the offense at times, knowing that maybe they have to execute at a more efficient level than maybe they would need to normally?
No, we don't. You know, those guys, I mean, it's really both sides of the ball. I mean, there's most of the time when you come off the field, there's a lot of coaching going on. There's a lot of, you know, corrections. They really, a lot of times, don't even know what's going on with the defense, and vice versa. The offense is out there, defense is over there, and they're talking about in the last series, you know, what they're going to do next series. You know, they just are so focused on doing their job. Nobody gets caught up in all that kind of stuff. No anxiety or anything like that. It's just we got to, you know, both sides have to do their job, and that's all they need to focus on.
Is the unpredictability that Wake has with its odd front and sort of the different pressure package they bring, is it similar to the challenges Georgia Tech presented?
No, a little different. These guys, there's a lot, I'd say more movement, you know, down the line type of movement. And that's the difference. But, you know, they both are an odd type of style of play defensively, but, you know, I think they're more different. Georgia Tech mostly wants to be a two-safety type of defense. Wake really wants to be a one-safety type of defense. That's really what they want. They really want to have that number 4 or 5 down in the box. Those two safeties. Those guys are good players, good tacklers, and you know you know, obviously the style of play can dictate that and what we're doing and how we're playing and matchups and things. But they really want to be a one-safety type of team, and that's a little different from Georgia Tech.
Coach, could you speak about Boyd's maybe maturation process over the last maybe week or so, given, you know, his character's now being tested after a loss? You know, everything was going well, you guys were winning, and now all of a sudden a bad beat, and he's got to bounce back now and show what he's made of.
Yeah, and that's, you know, it's what we expect, and, you know, it's not the first time. He hadn't lost, you know, many times in his career, but he's been here before and didn't play very well. He'll be anxious to get back out there Saturday, and like all competitors, and you know, perform a little bit better. And again, that's what he expects, and that's what we expect.
Kind of speak to the role that your seniors have played for you. It seems like it's a different team. You don't have a lot of seniors to start. You have a lot of young guys you kind of had to bring along and play a maturity role for them?
Well, we've got really good senior leadership. I mean, tremendous. And most of our seniors are either starters for us or they're solid contributors, whether it's offense, defense, or special teams. And that to me is that's what you want. And you know, hopefully, at some point we're going to have this thing to where you've got veteran juniors and seniors that are guys that you've developed through your program and you know, really provide you great leadership year in and year out. But one of the things that I think that we've done a good job of is trying to develop leadership throughout the team, not just seniors. And you know, one of the things that we do, and I meet with the seniors twice a week, but you know, back before we got going last spring, they selected guys that they wanted to be in there with them. And that's really good. You know, they selected a couple of juniors. They selected a couple of sophomores. We don't bring any freshmen in there. And that helps kind of disseminate that leadership. And those guys have done a great job. But all of them, you know, they're all about the right things. I mean, Landon Walker, McLean, David Smith, Mason Cloy, Marquand Jones has been an incredible leader for our football team this year. Not a guy that's shown up in a lot of stats, but has been an incredible leader for our team. You know, and he's been in a tough situation. But I'm gonna tell you what, that guy right there, special. You know, just, and he's been right there, you know, teaching and helping and doing everything he can on special teams and practices as hard as anybody every day, preparing for his opportunity. And, you know, that's what team's all about. And same thing over on the defensive side, and Branch and Courtney Brown and Rennie Moore, you know, and then Cody Sensabaugh has been a great leader, and Rashard Hall and Carico and Taj has been a leader. Ellington's been a leader. Dwayne Allen has been an incredible leader. We've just gotten it from all kind of areas, and that's been the difference in our football team. I mean, we're talented, but just the leadership, you know, you have to have that in place to get a team where you want to take them.
With the open day coming this late in the year, did you take the practices just to do fundamental stuff, or did you maybe break down the final three opponents and, you know, you only have three of them left? How did you handle
Well,
that?
a little bit of both. I mean, you know, you always take, in the open day, you always take some time to look at yourself and kind of, you know, see what the opponent sees and maybe break some tendencies and things like that because you got a little bit more time. But really want to get back to the basics, back to the fundamentals. That's a real key part of it. And then certainly you want to get a head start on the next opponent. That's the advantage of having an open date. And so I think we accomplished, you know, all of those things this week. And then for us, because of when the open day, you know, if our open date's been earlier the last couple of years, it's been more physical. You know, it's still been fundamentals, basics, back to us, a little bit of, hey, here's the next couple of opponents, that type of deal. But it's been more physical, whereas this year, you know, it was more about, you know, getting healthy and mentally just getting more focused back on doing the things that we need to do execution-wise, and a little more individual time than you normally get during the course of a week. And so it's been very good. But like I said, probably the main objective was to get some bodies healed up. And I think we accomplished that.
Was there any one area of fundamentals that your evaluation through the first 9 games kind of focused you on?
Well, the biggest thing with us was ball security. You know, getting back to we track balls. We call it BIJs, balls in jeopardy, and you know, you just not going to win many ball games. You know, when you put the ball on the ground. You know, momentum is huge, and when you give momentum away, especially on the road, it is a mountain to climb. And it caught up with us the last time we played, and so that was our biggest thing, was, you know, getting back focused on our plan to win. Here it is. You know, it's the effort, it's ball security, it's creating turnovers. So, you know, doing our drills that we do, creating that mentality. You know, really going back instead of really focusing more on scheme right now. First part of the week, it's more on our core fundamentals and basics at each position.
Coach Stephon Anthony was obviously one of the headliners of your last recruiting class, and I think he's second on the team in tackles for loss without playing, you know, a ton of snaps. Can you just talk about his progression?
Oh, he's a great player. Gonna be a special player at Clemson. Been battling. He was another one of those guys that really needed the week. He's I don't know how many people knew it, but he's been battling a mid-foot sprain for a couple ball games. In fact, we had to sit him the one game, so it was great for him to have that week to really rest up. Expect him to finish strong for us. But he is a very focused, very intelligent and talented linebacker. You draw him up, that's what you want. And he's really learned a lot with this season. And I think he's still got some good football in front of him this year, but he's got the potential to be a great player.
Who are you pulling for Thursday night?
Do what?
Who are you pulling for Thursday night?
I could care less. Good try, boy. I knew somebody was going to try that. I really could care less. I mean, whoever. I just want to make sure that we have the opportunity to play. That's all I'm concerned about is trying to, win these next 4 quarters that we're facing, and then whoever we play, and let's get it on. But right now that's the least of my worries. Should be a good football game though. Be a fun one to watch.
Anything else?
Mr. Bray, no question? All right, thank you.